Hello to all our dear subscribers and followers. Today we bring you the economic summary with our expert, Melvin Koch. Hello, Melvin. Melvin, recent employment data is disastrous, and inflation keeps rising. What is really happening with the Trump administration's economic policy?
The Trump administration insists that the new tariffs will be paid by other countries. However, the evidence shows that the real impact falls directly on American consumers, who are now facing higher prices and a surge in inflation. Immediate impact on prices. But let's also consider what Jerome Powell, chairman of the Federal Reserve,
has started to move up now.
The White House argument is simple. More tariffs mean more government revenue, stronger domestic industry, and greater consumption of local products. In practice, the story is very different. Take the example of a washing machine manufactured in Mexico. Thanks to lower wages and production costs, its final price is $300, about 40% cheaper than its U.S. equivalent. With a 25% tariff, that same washing machine now costs $375. The U.S. consumer pays the difference, not the Mexican company. Labor costs and offshoring.
This is not your ordinary farm crisis. We call it Farmageddon.
And if they don't do something, there's going to be some farmers that ain't going to be around next year.
We're joined now by the founder and president of the National Black Farmers Association, John Boyd Jr. Sir, thanks so much for being with us. What are you hearing from farmers about what they're going through right now?
Well, this is the worst time since the 80s, and I was farming in the 80s, where farmers were going out of business. Farm foreclosures are on the rise. Farm suicides are on the rise. Farm bankruptcies are on the rise. And this is a bad time in this country for American agriculture and America's farmers. The president's tariffs are putting farmers out of business. These are very low commodity prices. I watched the president's interview yesterday. He touted how great the markets were doing, but the markets aren't doing well for America's farmers. Corn, wheat, and soybeans are all down. It's harvest time, and we haven't gotten any orders from China to purchase soybeans from farmers. And we need answers from the administration on what they can do to help America's farmers. Now, you just talked about the big, beautiful bill. They really haven't provided any assistance for America's farmers. And I heard the agriculture secretary say this week that farmers could get money from tariffs. I haven't seen any money from the president's tariffs, just poor markets. And every time the president says tariffs, the markets go down and countries begin to run away from American agriculture.
Yeah, I wonder because during the first Trump administration, specifically on soybeans, in response to dwindling international demand, the administration put out subsidies to try to help soybean farmers. Have you heard anything from the administration about something like that coming soon?
Absolutely nothing. The first Trump administration, paid out $23 billion in the program called the Market Facilitation Program. But what was ironic about that $28 billion didn't really provide any relief for America's black farmers. We're pretty much left out of that equation. And what the president is doing different this time that he didn't do last time is he doesn't care. He's hurting all farmers now. He's treating us all the same. So that's something he said he was going to do. Now, all farmers are doing bad now under this administration. The first time the president imposed tariffs on China, I was selling soybeans at $16.80 a bushel. By the time President Trump left office, it was less than $8 a bushel. And the markets never really came back. So what the point I'm trying to make here is the tariffs didn't work the first time the president imposed them. And I don't think that they're going to help us now. And I don't believe that they're going to provide any resources for America's farmers.
So what happens now in this sort of gap as the Farm Bill expires and you have to wait until some of the allocations from the Big Beautiful Bill to kick in next year?
Well, we need members of Congress to start fighting, especially Democrats. Democrats are too quiet here. And they letting the president just run him over like a Mack truck. And the message here today is they should get up and fight back. We haven't had a farm bill in quite some time, and the country is running off a continuous resolution here. And what this administration has done is taking our programs that I fought for about 40 years to get programs called social disadvantaged farmers resources and grants to help America's Black and other farmers of color. This administration wants to do away with all of those things and help large-scale, white farmers in this country. And what he did was he says, we're going to do away with anything that has to do with Black, but we're going to bring white farmers in from South Africa solely based on race. And then we're going to ship out the people who are doing the work here. The Hispanic community that's doing really hard work that many Americans don't want to do. They want to put them out the country, and it was the wrong thing to do. People from the inner city are not going to come in and pick tomatoes and onions and harvest cabbage and tobacco people. It's the wrong thing, and they're taking American agriculture in the wrong direction, this administration is.
John Boyd Jr., thank you so much for the time and for sharing your perspective. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Peter Navarro, the architect of the tariff policy and Trump's advisor, argues that factories will return to the U.S. But this runs into two major obstacles. Labor costs, wages in the U.S. are far higher than in Mexico, China, India, or Brazil. Loss of skilled labor. American industry no longer has the same level of specialized workers it did in the 1990 seconds. It is no coincidence that Trump was forced to roll back a 125% tariff on China after it triggered chaos in U.S. supermarkets and retail stores with unprecedented inflation. The automotive industry case. An automobile engine offers a clearer picture of the problem. Aluminum is extracted in Michigan, transported to Canada for smelting cheaper and more technologically advanced, shipped back to Michigan, then to Mexico for assembly, where labor is 45% cheaper. Finally, returned to Michigan for final assembly. Every border crossing incurs a 25% tariff. The result, rising costs that ultimately fall on the consumer. The Trump administration insists that the new tariffs will be paid by other countries. However, the evidence shows that the real impact falls directly on American consumers, who are now facing higher prices and a surge in inflation. Immediate impact on prices. The White House argument is simple. More tariffs mean more government revenue, stronger domestic industry, and greater consumption of local products. In practice, the story is very different. Take the example of a washing machine manufactured in Mexico. Thanks to lower wages and production costs, its final price is $300, about 40% cheaper than its U.S. equivalent. With a 25% tariff, that same washing machine now costs $375. The U.S. consumer pays the difference, not the Mexican company. Labor costs and offshoring. Fueling inflation well above levels seen under the previous administration. International collateral damage. The collateral damage extends to global trade. Tariffs in place, many longtime allies are turning toward China, now positioning itself as the defender of free trade and a central player in the WTO. Brazil and Colombia, hit with a 50% tariff on beef, coffee, and soy, have already signed export deals with China. Canada and Australia, after decades of distance, sent their prime ministers to Beijing to strengthen ties. India, increasingly estranged from the West, is deepening its alignment with Asia. The dollar at risk. At the recent BRICS summit in Kazan, Russia again proposed creating a common trade currency for the bloc. Although Brazil and India had rejected the idea months earlier at the G7, Trump's tariffs may now push them to reconsider. If adopted, this would be a heavy blow to the U.S. dollar, as the BRICS represent over 65% of the world's population and host the fastest-growing economies on the planet. Conclusion. The official narrative that tariffs are paid by other countries collapses in the face of evidence. The costs fall on U.S. consumers, distort industries, fuel inflation, and weaken America's global leadership. Trump's protectionism not only risks making everyday life more expensive in North America, but also accelerates the global shift of economic power toward China and the BRICS. The outcome of this gamble could mark a turning point in the world economic order.
While the numbers look concerning, Peter Navarro, Trump's chief economic advisor, and Steven Mnuchin, former Treasury Secretary, claim otherwise. According to them, tariffs and new measures will bring industry back to the U.S. and strengthen the national economy. The reality is more complex. Consumers may face higher prices, and inflation could rise even further. We'll analyze how these factors impact both the domestic economy and international trade in the short and long term. That's all for today. If you're not subscribed yet, do so to support the channel. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends.